Good morning and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in beautiful Peckville, Pennsylvania, and I'm right here with you each and every week at this time on this station to bring you, the Pennsylvania landowner, the information you need to know about oil and gas development. And of course, and as always, as you know, I, Doug Clark, do not, have not, and will not, never have and never will work for an oil or gas company. I'm sure that makes them very sad, but I will never, ever, ever do it. I hope it makes them sad. I represent landowners and only landowners for such things as, including but not limited to, oil and gas lease negotiations, oil and gas lease reviews, consultations, pipeline agreements, water line agreements, any surface agreement, estate planning for clients who are getting royalties or anticipate getting royalties, meter sites, compressor sites, well sites, bad faith unitization, bad faith shut in. Something my Tioga County friends know something about. Bottom line, any and all representation related to oil and gas matters, royalty payments, you name it, only from the landowner or royalty owner side. Give us a call. Give me a call, 570 307 0702, regardless of your location. I can't say that enough. I represent clients and have represented clients all across Pennsylvania in gas producing regions, all across northern Pennsylvania, across the western border, southwestern Pennsylvania, Fayette, Greene, Washington, Allegheny, Westmoreland, Butler, you name it, all on the west side as well, and clients who reside all over the country and even in other countries when they have oil and gas rights or property in Pennsylvania. So I really encourage you, give us a call regardless of your location. I talk about, just say this now, reviews and consultations. If you are asked to sign an agreement, these reviews and consultations are an outstanding way to start the process because you'll put the pen down, you'll pick up the phone, you'll call the office. I do every one of these entirely by myself. I do the research, I get the information, we get it either on the phone or you can come to the office, whatever you prefer. I do many of these by telephone, again, with people all across Pennsylvania in different parts even of the country. It works extremely well, and I will review whatever that document is that you're asked to sign. We will then talk about it, find out, like, hey, is the market better than this? Where can this be improved? What have I seen in the past? What's good about this agreement? What's bad about this agreement? And you get to ask any questions or concerns you raise, and we'll address them. We'll talk about what really can occur. These reviews and consultations have been, again, a tremendous resource for clients because we're able to identify these issues right off the bat. Then you can decide how you want to proceed. Maybe you want to move forward and sign. Maybe you want to negotiate. Maybe you want to pass. But why it's a valuable service is because you will get somebody who is working for you. Not working for the gas company, but somebody with knowledge and experience in dealing with these matters, working for you to make sure that you do not get taken advantage of, that you get the best possible agreement, and that you limit the company as much as possible and give yourself potential future opportunities. You need to do that. And this leads into the topic of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about pipelines quite a bit. But what I'm going to talk about first is why it's so darned important that you put the pen down and pick up the phone and don't sign anything until you at least do a review and consultation. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. So here's a great, this is a true situation, great example. And this type of thing, unfortunately, happens too many times. And that's why I always preach these things and why I preach reviews, consultations. A review and consultation of a gas lease may end up resulting for you getting literally hundreds of thousands of more dollars in royalties or bonus, but also potentially may lead to $100,000+ pipeline agreement where otherwise you would have had a very low level, let's say $15,000-$20,000 agreement. Now I'm going to explain what I mean. Every one of these agreements that you are presented with is important. If you are asked to put your name in ink on a sheet of paper, sign your name, it is important. When you're dealing with the gas and pipeline companies, it's important. If you're going to initial paperwork, oh, hey, here's the map, we just want you to initial. It's important. Put the pen down. Let's make sure you know what you are signing. In most cases, not in everybody's case, but in most cases, in many cases, they will be the most important contract that you sign because it could be the difference of getting, again, hundreds of thousands of more dollars, potentially even millions of dollars that will impact this property and your family for generations. So let's do at least a review and consultation to make sure you're not leaving big money on the table, to make sure that you're not leaving protections for your property on the table, to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of. Because we all know many people in Pennsylvania have been taken advantage of by the gas industry. Many, and I'm sure many people listening right now feel that they have been taken advantage of by the gas industry. I don't think that anybody, even if you don't think you were taken advantage of, unless you work for the company, and I don't even think those people think this, but everybody knows that people in their minds have been taken advantage of by the gas company. I think that people even working for the gas companies, in my opinion, say, oh yeah, we got a great deal there. They got over on someone. They got over on who? An uninformed landowner. And that again is why I won't work for companies. I want the landowner, our Pennsylvania residents, to get the best agreement they possibly can. I want to make sure that you, the landowner, have the information that you need, not the information that the company wants to tell you. Again, these contracts are huge, guys, and we're listening to the landman who works for the company to educate us on this. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark. So, okay, I want to talk about this situation here. So, person gives me a call. Landowner gives a call, says, hey, Doug, checked out your websites at pagasleaseattorney.com, checked out your website at pipelineattorney.com, really like what I see, and I'm very interested in doing a review and consultation with a pipeline agreement that I have. Hey, sounds great. Love to do it. Send me the information. I look at the lease. I look at the situation, get any background information that I need, look at the pipeline agreement, and then we have a review and consultation. So, review and consultation. This person lives, we'll say, far away. Well, they live out of state. So they say, okay, we'll do this by telephone, which I do all the time. So we get on the phone, and I have to explain to the person, well, and let me back up and say the person says, I hate this location. It's a terrible location. I don't want to have it here. It's a terrible situation for me, and I don't like the offer. It's not enough money. So I said, all right, well, a real big first step that I always take. Now, I want to caution you because you're going to maybe do this too, which is okay and what you should do, but it can be very, very complicated. Here's what I mean. The first step that I do with any landowner who is presented with a pipeline agreement is to go back and look at their lease. I go back and I go with my own microscopic review to make sure that I fully understand every type of pipeline right that oil and gas lease provides the company. Because you hear me say all the time, and it happens all the time, landman says, hey, landowner, we're allowed to put this pipeline in because of the lease, and we're just giving you this free money because we're nice guys and we'll pay you $15, $20 a foot, but we have the right to do it anyway. Well, we know that That's maybe not necessarily true. So again, I will look at the gas lease, find out exactly what rights are provided in the gas lease. Then I go through the pipeline right-of-way agreement, and I have my system of how I mark it up and how I indicate problem areas and what needs to be addressed and what can be addressed, what might not be addressed. And then we get on we get on the phone. So again, client says, "Hey man, I hate this. I really don't want this going through my property. This is terrible. They're only offering me peanuts. I don't want to do this at all, and it's going to just ruin right through my property." And says, "But I guess if I had to, there's probably some sort of number, compensation number, amount of money that they could pay me that I might agree to this. So let's make up some numbers here. Let's say that the offer for the pipeline, I'm making these up, was $25,000. So the landowner says $25,000 is going to go through my property, rip it all up, cut down these trees. I won't be able to develop in this area. This is terrible. I don't want this. I don't want it at all. But, hey, I'm not opposed necessarily to money, but I sure as heck don't want to do this for $25,000. Landowner says, if they would pay me $250,000, now I'd be interested. So, okay, here's the deal. We go back, you look at the oil and gas lease, and you look at what the proposal is, and let me give you two examples. I could go back, look at the oil and gas lease, and see that either the way the lease itself is written or with additional addendum terms that have been added to the lease, I determined that the only pipelines that can be installed on this individual's property are pipelines that are going into a unit where he is getting royalties. In other words, the simple way to kind of think of it is the only pipelines that can go across this person's property are ones that are only carrying his gas, as well as the other people within the unit. So any well that is generating royalties for this landowner, that can be piped across the person's property. However, any gas that is not getting royalty to this landowner cannot go through a pipeline across his property. So, resetting. If the pipeline is going right to the well site where the guy gets royalties from, well, that's allowed. But if the pipeline goes to any other well sites, maybe it even goes to the one where the gentleman gets royalties from, but it continues on to another well site where the gentleman doesn't get royalties. If that's the case, or if it's just other gas, it is not allowed under the gas lease. So, in that scenario one, the landowner can say, hey, this proposed pipeline is going to carry what we call third party or foreign gas. I don't like the location. I don't want a pipeline. I don't want any of this. So I am simply going to say thank you, but no thank you. And that is the landowner's right to do. And that landowner did a good job or maybe got lucky, but had a lease that didn't allow third-party or foreign gas pipelines. Now, quick side note. Again, if you think your lease does and the landman tells you it does, don't just stop there. Do a review and consultation with me or somebody who knows what the heck they're doing, because it's not always real simple when you read this. There's also case law out there that comes into factor. So this is a critical step of the process for evaluation, and it sets the stage to, again, this landowner can either thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to decline this. I really don't want a pipeline. And you're allowed to do that. And that's okay. You negotiated for that, and that's what you got. Because here's the second scenario. So let me wait just 1 second and reframe, and we'll move to the second scenario. Scenario one, landowner either got lucky or negotiated, his lawyer, her lawyer, negotiated and got a restriction that the only pipelines on the property that are allowed are pipelines that carry this person's gas, and no foreign or third-party gas can go into this pipeline across this gentleman's property. That's scenario one. Great scenario. Person can say, thank you, I'm not interested, but no thank you, I'm not interested. Or can say, hey, look, I'm not interested. You're offering me $25,000. If you want to offer me $250,000, now I'm interested. That's the position we want to be in. Now, your number may be lower, but that's our example. So that guy holds cards, has leverage, and then we look at your individual situation. How aggressive do you want to be? How many alternative options are there to go around your property? All of these things need to be evaluated, and those are the things that I do in each and every pipeline review and consultation. And again, these usually take, including review time, usually 2 hours or less. So again, that's why I preach these. Get it done, because people are getting taken advantage of, and we can stop it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. You can give us a call, learn about reviews, consultations, anywhere you are, as long as the property or gas rights are in Pennsylvania. 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. Give me a call. We'll do review, consultation, and here we're gonna finish this. I'm gonna go to scenario 2. I'm gonna cut this segment off. We'll go to scenario 2 at the start of the next segment. I want to take a quick reminder and let everybody know who's in this situation. Now again, this is a specific group of people that I would love to hear from. For this limited group, I do a free, no obligation, no commitments of any kind for this group. Here it is. If you are located in Tioga County and you have been shut in and you are not receiving any royalties whatsoever for your property, if the well site is on your property, I will do a free, no obligation whatsoever review and consultation on your lease and tell you, do I think that you have any type of cause of action against SWEPI or any other company that has you held in for a period of 7 years or more. 7 years or more. Now, I'll say this, though. If you have a well pad and you're shut in, and you've been shut in for several years, I'll do the review for those people, even if you're not at 7 years, if you have the well pad on your property. The other group of people, if you have 100 acres or more, and you have been shut in for 8 years or more, I will do a free, no obligation review and consultation where I'll look at your lease. I do the background work, see what the situation is with the wells, make sure you have to not be getting royalties anywhere else, and then I will let you know if I think you have a claim that you can bring against the gas company. And I want to tell you that we're bringing claims. I'm bringing claims against companies to say, hey, we think, or I believe your lease is terminated. And I believe that there are at least dozens of leases that have actually terminated, at least dozens in my opinion, that have actually terminated. But SWEPI and other companies continue to hold them, but primarily SWEPI, by tendering these yearly shut-in payments. I know that there are many people, there are literally hundreds of people impacted by this. So if you are in this situation, remember, 100 acres or more unless the well pad is on your property, shut in for 7 years or more, not getting royalties under your lease. I will do free, no obligation review and consultation and let you know if I think you have a good challenge to terminate your lease, which could give you a new bonus, new royalty, much, much better situation. Or I'll explain why I think you have issues and why you may not have a great case to challenge your lease. But if we just sit back and do nothing, we know what's happening. This has got to stop, and I'm telling you, it is my commitment to stop it. So please, if you're in this, I want to hear from you. If you're in this situation, I will give you my best information, and you decide if you want to do something or not, but this is garbage, and it has to stop. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. If you're in that category, give us a call anytime. Get your information free, no obligation review. 570 307 0702. 570-307-0702. All oil and gas representation. I'll be right back. We got a lot more to talk about. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Remember, you can join me each and every week at this time on this station for All Things Marcellus. I've been doing this show now. We are 9 years doing the show, and we're not stopping. We're not, because this stuff just keeps happening. So, again, give us a call, 570-307-0702, any representation needs. Also, today's show will be up and available on the website Monday morning. You can go pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. I've been doing some updates, adding some sections to the website. Really encourage you, if you're not going there, we're talking about pipelines. You got a pipeline agreement. You're not going to pipelineattorney.com as a general information resource. What are you doing? So go check it out. Pipelineattorney.com, gasleaseattorney.com, and keep listening to All Things Marcellus. All right. So real quick, we're going to reset the stage. Talking about, the value of these reviews and consultations, but talking about how it's so important that every document you should at least have a review and consultation, because there are so many hidden things that you're not going to know about that you need to have somebody working for you who's going to tell you about those things. So my example is, landowner calls, says, hey, I want to do a review and consultation. I have a pipeline agreement. Sends in the pipeline agreement. The first thing I do is go and I get the lease and I dig through it and I get every piece of information I can regarding pipeline rights, and I have a legal opinion as to what the lease provides relative to pipeline rights to the company. So I gave you the scenario one. We'll just recap it quickly. Scenario one. Either the lease itself or added addendum terms prohibit the company from putting a pipeline on your property unless that pipeline is going to be carrying your gas that you're getting royalties from. So if it's going to be carrying gas from wells or well sites that you are not getting royalties from, that pipeline is only allowed on your property if you give them separate written permission. So that's scenario one, the good scenario. Scenario one, no foreign or third-party gas can go on my property through the pipelines unless I sign a separate pipeline agreement. That's where we want to be. We don't want to be in scenario two. Scenario two, gas lease operates also as a pipeline agreement. So, well, what the heck does that mean? I've seen pipeline agreements. I've seen gas leases. I haven't seen oil and gas lease and pipeline agreement as the title of a document. I've never seen that. No, because again, if you hear me say it once, I hope you've heard it 1,000 times I've said it. Companies are smart. They're smart. They don't want to put on here, hey, this is an oil and gas lease and pipeline agreement. No. In my opinion, some companies like to bury these rights within these long documents that they know the landowner, amazingly and unfortunately, isn't going to read all of it. But more seriously, you can read it, but you're not going to understand the significance of the words that you're reading unless you deal with this every day or you deal with it all the time. You're not. You could be the smartest person in the world, but when you first read an oil and gas lease, it's going to be like reading a foreign language. You don't know how they pipe gas. You don't understand the gathering, transmission lines, marketing. You don't understand the tricks of the trade. You can read, you can understand each word individually, but you don't understand where these loopholes are hidden and how they're going to be used potentially to be taken or take advantage of you. So it's information. It's not about knowledge. It's not about intelligence. It's about information that you need that is valuable to you to make the right decision. Information you need to make the right decision to maximize the agreement that you're presented, to get the most money and to limit the company as much as possible. That's our goal. I know I beat this up and I will continue. Do you think the landman who works for the company, not you, the landowner, do you think that their goal when they come out to you with an agreement and pen in hand is to make sure that you get the most money possible, to make sure that you eliminate every loophole or minimize every loophole in the agreement, and to make sure that you're getting as much limitation on future rights of the company as you can get? Do you think the landman who works for the company is out there doing that for you? Yeah, he or she may be a really nice person. There's nothing against them individually. It's their job. And we need to recognize that's their job. Most of the people, once you sign, they're not coming to your house with donuts and cookies anymore. They're taking those donuts and cookies to the next person they need to get signed. So you just have to be smart. And that's why I preach it all the time of put the pen down and pick up the phone. Get information from somebody who their only goal in the world is to make sure that you get the best agreement, that you're treated fairly and you leave nothing on the table, and that you get the best agreement that you can get for you. That's my goal, and that should be any attorney's goal who's working for you. And again, no offense to the landman who works for the company, not you, but that's not their goal. It's not. Ask them. Yes, that'd be a good one. Come out and say, hey, you know what? You're a nice guy. Is your goal to make sure that I get as much money as possible, that I limit the company and future operations as much as possible, and that I close or minimize loopholes in this agreement as much as possible? Ask them that. And then call my office and tell me what they said, because I'd love to hear it. That's 570-307-0702. Okay, so got a little sidetrack, but let me get back to the issue. So we had our first scenario. The gas lease does not allow any pipelines on the property that is going to carry gas from locations where this landowner is not getting royalties. And this is really important because this landowner does not want this pipeline. It's in a horrible position across their property, horrible location, and they don't like how much money is being offered. So again, step one of my review of this is to go back at the lease. I gave you scenario one. Now let's talk about scenario two. Landowner has an oil and gas lease that they signed a few years ago. I read it all, and I see that there's like 10 addendum provisions. And lo and behold, all 10 of them are what I call throwaway provisions, meaning provisions that we'll take, but really offer, many cases, little or no value at all to you, the landowner. Throwaways. So again, companies are smart. They say, oh, we'll give you these 10 addendum. You got 10 addendum. I hear people say, oh, yeah, Mr. Smith got 10 addendum. So-and-so got 15 addendum. I don't care about number. I care about quality. I care about quality. I could do a lease. I could see a lease that has 30 addendum or one that has 5. And if I got to pick the 5 that I wanted, I'd take the 5-paragraph addendum. So don't get caught up on quantity. We're looking for quality. We're looking for quality. So I look at the gentleman's lease, and I see that there's these addendum terms. They're all throwaways. Nothing addresses pipelines. So then I go, and I'm looking at this lease, and I see it has this sentence in it. Sweppy lease, guys. Sweppy lease. Paragraph 10, ancillary rights. Now I'm going to get to the critical part here. It says that the company would have the right to use roads, easements, pipelines, water wells, telephone lines, and other facilities, paraphrasing a bit, useful or convenient to treat, process, store, and transport oil and gas and other products with the right to transport by pipelines oil, gas, or water, or their constituents from the leased premises and other lands, regardless of the source of such substances. So, guys, this lease buried in very small font here, buried in says that apparently the company may have the right to transport gas across your property regardless of the source. Where did it come from? Regardless of the source. So now we have a situation. Scenario one, crystal clear, cannot transport third-party or foreign gas across the client landowner's property. Scenario two, can transport oil and gas from the leased premises, the property, and other lands, regardless of the source of the substance. Well, that very well may mean that the company has the right to install a third-party pipeline on your property without you signing a separate right-of-way agreement. That means the company may leverage you and push you and say, look, we're going to give you $15 or $20 a foot, and that's it. And you either sign or we're going to go under the gas lease because it gives us the right to install a pipeline regardless of the source of the gas. That would be their argument. Now, there's arguments that we may have that say, hey, that wasn't the intent, was to create this third-party pipeline agreement. This was an oil and gas lease. However, and this is where I say this gets very complicated. So don't go by a show and say, a radio show, and say, okay, I've learned all I needed to learn, and this is how I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do. These are general informational shows. You need to get real specific in your advice. So with that said, let me say that another very interesting thing, which is something you really need to talk about in detail with your lawyer or me, but seriously, is the fact that if the company says we have the right to install this pipeline in the ground under the authority of our gas lease, and we say, okay, we disagree, but let's say they do put it in under the gas lease. Well, here's the question. When your gas lease ends and is done, does the company still have the right to have the pipeline there? And my answer is going to be in virtually every case, if not every case, if it's placed in the ground under the authority of the lease, when the lease ends, so does the company's ability to continue to have a pipeline on your property and transport gas through that pipeline. So many companies will attempt to leverage people with the idea that, hey, this gas lease allows us to do it. But in reality, they don't want to go under the gas lease because if they do and the lease ever expires or terminates, or they lose the lease in some other way, they can't have that pipeline there. So when I talk about hidden leverage, detailed advice, specific advice, that's a great example. But we have to dive into your situation and make sure we understand how much is being offered, what is the scope of this project, all kinds of individual factors, your risk tolerance, the need for money at that moment, which may or may not be high, but the money may not be very much either. All of those things go into the process of deciding what is the best way for you to proceed forward, and all of those things are considered and discussed depending upon your situation during the reviews and consultations. So if this gentleman would have talked to me and had a review and consultation of his gas lease, he would have been in a much different situation. I'll explain how that will work here when we get back. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I've been doing this show for 9 years. Join me each and every week at this time on this station. And if you have any oil and gas related needs, any agreement, put the pen down, call the Clark Law Firm. 570-307-0702. Let me work for you. Start with a review and consultation. We can go from there, but we got to get this information out to everybody. I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Remember, give me a call, learn about what representation we have, any and all oil and gas related matters. I have not, never have, I never will work for an oil or gas company. They got enough people working for them. We need people out there fighting for the landowner. So give me a call, 570-307-0702. Let's see if we can help you regardless of your location. All right, I want to go back and, talk about reviews and consultations because I do them all the time, and they just work. They just work for the landowner. Incredible feedback, and it's just an incredible opportunity to get this information to you right away, and then you decide how you want to handle your situation. So call about these reviews and consultations. They usually take 2 hours and potentially less. So get that information and get it early, and then decide however it is that you want to go forward. 570-307-0702. Again, I do these all myself. I have clients all across Pennsylvania, western side, northeastern side, central. I have probably more active Tioga clients right now than anywhere else in Pennsylvania, but have clients active in most gas-producing areas at the present time. And keep listening to All Things Marcellus each week with me on this station. So let's get back to it. Let me say, okay, so here's the example. Here's the summary. Landowner comes to me for a pipeline agreement review and consultation. First thing I do is take a extremely detailed, I call it microscopic review of the lease and what pipeline rights there are. I gave you guys 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, either the lease already did it, or there was an added addendum term that said the only pipelines that can be placed on this landowner's property under the term of the lease are ones that are going to carry gas which he gets royalties from. We'll call that first-party gas. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2, look back at the lease, and that lease wasn't negotiated, and I'm using a sweepy example here, and that lease has language that says that pipelines can be installed on the property under the authority of the gas lease, and it says that the pipelines can transport gas regardless of the source of the gas. Meaning now the company can say, well, this lease says we can put a pipeline on your property and transport gas, and because it says regardless of the source of where this gas came from, we can pipe third-party or foreign gas that you get no royalties from across your property because you signed the lease. And you say, wait a second, I signed a gas lease, not a pipeline agreement. Well, no, when you signed your gas lease, you also provided certain pipeline rights in almost all cases. The key is to limit those. So in the pipeline review and consultation session, talk about, listen, I know that you hate this location. I know that the money that they're offering you is nowhere near enough for what they want to do. However, let's talk about this leverage situation. Let's talk about how your lease, are you in category 1 and category 2? If you're in category 1, you could say, thank you, but no thank you, company. I don't want this pipeline easement to go right through my property, cut through my woods, and just really destroy my future use of this property. So I'm just going to say no thank you. Or if you're offering me $25,000, I'll consider it, but I want $250,000, something like that. So the point is the person in scenario 1 could say no or negotiate and never have to worry if they don't reach an agreement. They're in total control. Scenario 2, there's no limitations, no addendum that are applicable, and the lease says that, and the company says, hey, we can run this gas across your property, regardless of whether it's yours or coming from well sites that you have nothing to do with because you signed this gas lease. And in that situation, you have a whole different leverage situation. Entirely different. But with that said, that's not the end. Because one thing, like I said, is remember, if a company puts a pipeline in only under the authority of the gas lease, if that gas lease ends, maybe it's 30 years from now, 50 years, or 10 years, so does the company's right to have the pipeline on your property. And depending upon the circumstances, and these are things that I looked into and we try to uncover to get the best answers we can look to evaluate your leverage even in a scenario where the pipeline may be allowed under your gas lease, because you may have hidden leverage that you're not aware of, and hidden leverage that the landman who works for the company, not you, the landowner, isn't going to tell you about. So, I have never seen a pipeline agreement that I've not been able to negotiate. The vast majority of them, we get more money, much better terms. And if you do a review and consultation, you get all of these answers and you find out where you are, and you get to do an assessment of your leverage with me, and then determine how you want to move forward, what your rights are. One of the biggest travesties in my mind that occurs regularly now, and there's a lot of them, but this drives me crazy. I talk about it a lot. How many times I get a call, a review and consultation, pipeline agreement, and the landowner says, the company is allowed to put this in anyway. I just want you to look at it. And I review everything and I say, listen, the company's not allowed to put this in unless you give them separate written authority. And just because they say that they are allowed doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. I have personally seen emails to clients saying, we have the right to do this from the company guy. Then I get involved and say, hey, I don't believe you have the right to do it. Can you confirm whether you have the right to do it? Well, we don't have the right to do it under the gas lease, but we want to do this. Well, yeah, now we get to the bottom of it. The thing is, and this is why I want to, one thing take from this. This stuff is, I try to make it easy, but it is complicated. The loopholes, the language, it is complicated. So I really encourage you, again, to call me, do a review and consultation for any agreement, 570-307-0702, or get somebody who knows what the heck they're doing who's working for you. Because in this case, in my scenario, had this person came to me when they were doing their gas lease, I can't guarantee something, but I can tell you that I'm pretty darned confident this loophole of transportation of gas from other well locations would be shut. But this gentleman went to his local lawyer, doesn't do this all the time, reads everything, says, oh yeah, hey, this looks good. If you get your documents reviewed by an attorney and they say, oh yeah, this looks good, and that's the extent of what they're telling you, I'll say it, find another attorney. That's crazy. You need to know the good, the bad, what to expect, how are your royalties going to be calculated, what kind of future operational rights are there. You need to know that. And if you're not getting that, go to a different attorney. I'm telling you, you need to know that. All right, I'm up against it here. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. We have one more segment left, so stay tuned. And make sure you join me each and every week right here at this time on this station for All Things Marcellus. Office number 570-307-0702. I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Remember, I am right here each and every weekend at this time on this station to bring you the information you need regarding natural gas development. I only represent oil and gas right owners and property owners in Pennsylvania, but I do represent people in Pennsylvania all over Pennsylvania. So again, I probably have more active clients. I think I definitely have more active clients right now in Tioga County than any other area. And that's because there's things happening there, guys. And we got to make sure that we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting you, your property. your kids and your grandkids. Let's make sure we're not leaving things on the table and getting the best deal. So, okay, let me back up now just to put a bow on that, my little story of the show's topic. I talk about reviews and consultations all the time because the feedback is outstanding, and I'm a part of them, and they just flat out work. It's the truth, they work. So, do a review and consultation. Call the office for any type of an agreement, 570-307-0702. Again, I do these by telephone, do them in person, whatever you prefer. They work. So let's get those done. Here's the example. I was doing a review consultation for a client on a new pipeline agreement. Went back and looked at their lease, and unfortunately, their lease did not have any terms that limited the pipeline authority that the company had under the gas lease. So we then have to talk about what our options are, what his options are, what this means, what we can do going forward, where he still has leverage. And these aren't these aren't one issue situations. There's a lot of things we're looking at. We're talking about a big issue here, but there are other hidden areas of leverage that if you don't do this all the time, you're never going to know. You just aren't. So we look at this, we say, okay, unfortunately, you don't have the leverage, or we'd like the ideal leverage, but you still have leverage. And let's talk about that, and let's talk about how you can use it. Now, here's the problem here in this case. Yes, we will maximize this pipeline agreement if it's going to be agreed to. We will maximize it, or for some reason, if it's not agreed to and it's installed, there'll be a plan in place and why it was done this way. And the client landowner will make all decisions, but they'll get the information to make the decisions from me working for them to make sure that they're doing the best that they can. However, in this case, and unfortunately, the gentleman was not aware of me before, but good news is he came to me for the pipeline agreement. The bad news is he went to a local lawyer whenever he had his gas lease reviewed. Local lawyer read it and apparently read it and said, oh, this looks good. This looks normal. And the person signed. Well, again, you got to deal with this stuff all the time to know what you need to do. I would have never have let this language stand in the gas lease to give broader pipeline rights. I would never let it stand. And if for some reason we did have to, the client would know all about it and know why and know what the reason would be and what they're giving up and what they're benefiting. Not, oh, hey, yeah, Joe, this looks good. Here. No, that's not good representation. These are serious things. And here's the deal. Had this landowner came to me, I see the date on this lease. I know what I was getting and what terms I was getting in this time frame that this lease was signed. I, in my mind, have no doubt at all that at the time, had I talked to this gentleman, we did a review and consultation, I would have identified this issue. Clearly, I would have done that. And then, if I were retained to do any negotiation, client's option, I am very confident we would have limited the lease so there would be no foreign gas pipeline rights, meaning the only pipeline that could be installed on a property would be one that the gas going through generates royalties for the landowner. I know we could have got it back then. I got it all the time. We still get it all the time. It's something that's relatively basic but very important. But even though it's relatively basic, the landowner and the attorney didn't include this limitation language. So, if we would have done a review and consultation, I would have identified these third-party or foreign gas, the potential third-party or foreign gas rights, would have said, here's what you do to correct it, here's what you need to do, and here's all the reasons why. And let's say that we then negotiate an addendum. We include limitation language so that no third-party or foreign gas pipelines are allowed. And now, a few years later, my phone rings. It's the client who we did a review and consultation with, did the addendum, calls and says, hey, Doug, got a pipeline offer. Same call as I got this time, let's say. Boy, I really hate it. The location goes right through the middle of my property, destroys what I want to do in the property, cuts my property in half, hardly any money. Don't like this agreement at all. Okay, send me the pipeline documents. I have your gas lease because I was involved in that. So I compare the gas lease, look at the pipeline agreement, and now we have our call. And I say, well, sir, I'm very happy to report this that we included an addendum term when you negotiated your gas lease that precludes the exact type of pipeline that the company wants to put on your property, put in your property to install it. It precludes it because this pipeline is going to carry third party or foreign gas. So, what that means, sir, is that you have the ability to simply say no thank you to this pipeline that you don't want, that's going right through the middle of your property, that's going to destroy your future use of the property of what you wanted to do, and you don't want it, and you have the ability to simply say no. Or if you're interested, and you don't have to be, but this is a real nice spot to be in. You can simply say no, or they're offering you $25,000. Let's say, is there a number that would make it worth your while to do it? Maybe that number is 250,000. Maybe that number is 500,000. Heck, maybe that number is $1 million. But here's the deal. You hold all the cards. You hold them all. Your card, you have the ultimate trump card. Thank you, but no thank you. Otherwise, if you want to put the line in, I will be agreeable, but I need at least $250,000, $500,000, or gosh, even $1 million. And if the company says no, that's okay, because you didn't want the pipeline anyway. So you're in a position that you don't want the pipeline. You can say no, or you can give a pie in the sky number, or a number that would make you be agreeable. Maybe that number is $100,000. So they're offering you a $25,000 pipeline. Let's say that you decide, hey, I'd like to do it. I want $125,000, and then I'll do it. Company says, oh, geez, it's hard to work around, all these different reasons. Okay, we'll give you $125,000. We negotiate, do the restrictions, we get a pipeline deal. Client gets paid $125,000. So let's do the math. They were originally offered $25,000, got $125,000. That's $100,000 more than they were offered. And why would they get $100,000 more? Because they did a review and consultation when they did their gas lease. Because in the review and consultation, we identified that this gas lease provides pipeline rights that you don't want to extend to the company. And we identified it and we restricted it. So now, 2-3 years later, this is what I say, future limitations. 2 or 3 years later, landowner calls me, not the landman. Landowner calls and says, hey, I don't like it, or I want $250,000. And we say, that's what you got. Or you want $125,000, we cut a deal. That landowner just made $100,000 more because they did a review and consultation that took less than 2 hours initially and found out how to restrict these pipeline rights. That's a great example, and there are so many others and can even be more of why reviews and consultations work. Give me a call, 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. Learn about reviews and consultations. Remember, put the pen down, pick up the phone. The landman works for the gas company. Doesn't work for you, the landowner. I, Doug Clark, never have, never will work for an oil and gas company. So give us a call, learn about these services, see if we can help you. 570-307-0702. And have a great, great week, everyone. See you next week.